live. I had to get my coffee cup in there. Good morning, everybody. Daniel Allison, the average dude, and we are back. Facility Management Focus. Myself and Stormy Friday of the Friday Consulting Group in Washington, D.C. We've been having great conversations all year long, and typically this show's been on a Tuesday, and we have facility managers from all over the area that join us, and we have real conversations with real people, just like we have today. And I've got 4 folks with us that I can't wait to have real conversations about business, about life, about decision making, and about what they do. So really excited to get started. And I tell you, it's always interesting. We've only got one facility manager with us today, so we've got to start with Alexa, who's going to be under the gun. But Alexa, please introduce yourself and let folks know what you do.
Hello, I'm a facilities manager for Devereaux, New Jersey. Devereaux is a nationwide nonprofit that helps adults, children with disabilities, with behavioral issues. We operate residential campuses, group homes, hospitals. So I handle New Jersey, and we have about 80 group homes across the state. And we have one of the larger fleets of about like 150 vehicles. So that's kind of what I oversee. And then we have a lot of work orders that we try to put together because we don't have in-house maintenance. There's no maintenance at all. So we have to outsource everything. And when I started at Devereaux, I was at another campus, and it was a team of 10 technicians. Things were getting done same day. Things were like, we had supplies and tools. So kind of the coordination piece is definitely logistically a little challenging. But yeah.
Yeah, and you are an interesting person to have on here from the facility management role. Now you're talking to vendors, you've got relationships with vendors, and at one time you were in that same position trying to sell goods and services, and I believe that was for Cintas, correct?
Yeah, and that's how I got my job at Devereaux, because they were one of my accounts. But yeah, I was a fire and life safety salesperson, so all of the annual inspections, all of these trainings, and so I ended up really meshing with the facility director there. And sales can be a little, I've been in it for so long, but I was like, I need to get out for a little. I need to like do something like good, because this is just like I felt like I was very good at it, but I really wanted to do something different after 10 years of it.
I understand, and I think it's interesting, and something that I wanted before we meet our current salespeople, right? I wanted to talk about how that transition. At some point in our life, we're being sold, and other times we're selling things, right? I mean, everybody has somebody come up to their door selling something residentially, maybe. So it's really human beings having conversations and talking about what they do. So really happy to have you here. And I do see Glenn. So you've got some backup, Alexa. I see Glenn joined us.
There we go.
Yeah, we've got at least 2 facility managers here, so that's great. All right. So Glenn, good to see you. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Glenn.
Okay, I'm of course Glenn Fitzgerald. I am the facilities manager at Hampton Park Baptist Church in the Cherrydale area of Greenville. I've been in the position almost 14 years, going on 15. So that's kind of my background. We have a church and a day school that is starting up with in-service on Monday.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so things are getting intense for you as we get ready to get rolling, right?
Most definitely. And unfortunately, I've had to make a trip back to Michigan. I'm actually in Michigan today, helping get my aunt transferred into a new place. And it's a good thing, but it's all things that I need to do. So
that's
I'm
right.
out of town.
Hey, and I'm glad you said that on a person that hopefully everything goes well for you there in Michigan. I know you wanted to come to our in-person event. That went great. Aaron Jacobitz was there. Aaron was there. Tom didn't come all the way down to our live event, Glenn. Can you believe that he didn't show up?
I can't believe that. That worth something there. I don't know what he's got to do to make it up, but
I don't know, Glenn.
unless you got a really good excuse.
I'm just glad to see you up in North Country again. So, and Alexa said she's from New Jersey. So all of a sudden, I'm feeling a lot more comfortable in this room.
I'm from Delaware. I am from Delaware. So technically, I just work in Jersey.
Okay. All right.
Hey, Alexa, do you mind showing the little bit of bling that you got there?
Oh, I got engaged I just got back from vacation and I got engaged, so it's really great.
Hey, that's kind of a big deal. So,
yeah, it was down at the Outer Banks, so it was really nice.
Awesome. Tom, welcome back, my friend.
Well, I'm glad to be back. And boy, this took a quick redirection for me in my life, hearing about Alexa and some of the stuff in 501c3. So, you mentioned a little bit about, the frustrating part of sales and, kind of taking that different role. So in a personal life, which actually I'm more interested in talking to you right now, is my wife and I own a 501c3 horse rescue.
Okay.
And we do a ton as that relief to, the high pressure sales.
Yeah.
We do a ton with, we're actually going down to Nashville. So I'm going a little south to take 2 more horses down to Saddle Up, which is a really cool organization that the music industry started funding for special needs children. So they do a lot with MRDD, and they also do with, they have one with cerebral palsy and some things like that. And they do a really kind of cool thing where they do horse therapy. And we've placed a lot of our horses in those type of settings. So as soon as I heard 501c3 and kids and stuff like that, I just took that sales hat. I just threw that thing away, and I'm like, there's a reason why I'm on this call.
Yeah.
But I guess in my day job, I sell roofs so that I can feed horses.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. But that's a great tie-in right there, Tom, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you sell roofs so you can feed horses. That's a great statement. And that really speaks to why we have we're more than what our role is, aren't we?
We are.
Yeah. So thank you for being here again. And now let's talk to another human being. His name's Aaron Jacobitz.
I do not have horses. I was raised around horses, but we just became empty nesters recently. So I felt like I sold and business developed HVAC, refrigeration, and hot side to feed horses, but it was a different kind of a horse. It's called. Really glad to be here. Thanks, Alexa, and thanks, Glenn. Good to see you again. Always pleasure to see Tom. Looking forward to get to know Garen, and so just excited to be on with the sort of smorgasbord of folks that we have with the experiences, and it's such a good not only connection, but it's just such a good time of education that I know that's one of my struggles is blocking out the time to continue further education that might not be an official class or an official course, but the hour that we get to spend here, it's extremely educational on a lot of different ways. So just excited to be here. So thank you so much, the very not so average dude, for having me.
Thank you, Aaron, and I appreciate y'all saying that and being here. And we've got a new guest. Welcome to the program, FM Focus. Garen Woodbridge, who was at our Masterminds of Construction event, lives here in the upstate, and excited to learn about your business right now, Garen.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It's awesome to be here. First time. I know I've kind of been able to watch in, but to be honest, is awesome. Especially love talking about sales. I have so much in that background, and I think there are so many soft skills that you can learn from sales that transitions into, I mean, literally everything in our life. Like you said before, whether we're selling, constantly telling my family about things that we bought or something like that, or it comes down to, the telecom space where I'm selling, managed services, cameras, Wi-Fi access control, all that fun stuff. But no, it was great to be at the event last week. So fun to just be around people, in the world of technology and Zoom calls and all this stuff. It's great. It allows us to be many places, but it's also great to, shake some hands and get in front of people and talk to people in person. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I've been thinking about and that I wanted to kind of bring up to y'all, we talked about and alluded to how sometimes we're selling, sometimes we're being sold to. And so we kind of switch positions, but in this role, sometimes we lose sight of that. But oftentimes, again, we're on both sides, and same is true for facility management, right? We've got a facility to take care of, and so we say that Glenn and Alexa, they're our facility management. Well, Tom's got horses, and he's got to take care of that house. He's got to take care of. Aaron's got to take care of the house that housed his horse as well. And so we're making decisions. We're outsourcing it. We're either going to cut the grass ourselves or we're going to hire somebody to cut the grass. And who are we going to hire, right? We might talk to different people about different things that we might want to hire them for, but we're all making decisions. And I think that that's an important thing to consider as we think about Alexa and the decisions that she's making. We've been there before, haven't we? Anybody want to speak to the way that we make decisions at home? Maybe similar to the way that we make them at home. Glenn, do you have anything on that?
Sorry, I lost connection, so I missed all of that. I had to reconnect here. So
Hey,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Sorry, and maybe y'all can help me here, but basically what I want to talk about is the fact that we're all making decisions, and a lot of times, if I'm deciding if I want to cut the grass myself at my house, or if I want to hire someone, and then I'm going to talk to people that are going to take care of it, I'm putting myself in your shoes, Glenn, and
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I've got a facility that I'm managing. And if the roof goes wrong, man, something's wrong with the roof. I've got to bring in a roofer, and I got to decide on that. So my point is, I think that we can learn a lot about decision making and about the things that go wrong from our home, because again, a facility is a facility. A salesperson is a salesperson. A human being is a human being. Are you a different decision maker at your? Maybe here's the question. Sorry. Are you a different decision maker at home than you are at work?
Partially, yes, because from my background, there's a lot of things I can do at home myself and do it, up to proper codes, all those kind of things. But the scale of what I have to deal with at work is so much bigger, unless that makes the calculation different. I mean, if we're talking a roof at my house, we're talking 3,400, 3,500 square feet. We're talking a roof second at church, it might be 10,000, 12,000, 14,000 square feet. That's a whole different game with tools and equipment I don't have or can get easily, and knowledge that I don't have. So, yeah, I see it as different, but in a lot of ways the same. I'm wearing the bottom line cost to the cost of what we could do if we had the time, if we can make the time, if it's worthwhile. All those calculations are going on just on a different scale than I would at home.
That's right. So the scale is different, but maybe those core principles that you rely on. Hey, if we can do it in house, if we can save the money here, the types of people that appeal to you that you would want to work for. Alexa, how about with you? You're dealing things at home. You're doing things at work. Are you the same person?
No.
Okay,
Not
great.
at all. I will pay double for convenience for myself. Like, I am all about convenience. Like, if it's going to make my life easier, if it's just going to be quicker, I'll pay more. So I think the motivation is so different for me. Like at Devereaux, my decision making is like very, data focused, very like improving the organization as a whole, making sure the clients are safe. So it's just different motivations. I definitely do bring a lot of the stuff that I've learned at Devereaux, especially like knowing the average cost of a remodel, knowing like getting to know the like construction side. So like I'll know if I'm really getting ripped off, but like but so I would say it's different for sure. But I kind of like decision making at work better. Like I like the data of looking into it, the buying power, the project planning, that stuff.
Absolutely. I want to go to Aaron Jacobitz. Aaron, you have talked to lots of different types of business owners doing what you do, facility managers. You're talking to business owners that have a restaurant. They're going to have different needs. I think to what Alexa was saying there, sometimes they're going to need it fast. I'm thinking about a restaurant. Sometimes I need convenience. I don't care how much it costs because I'm trying to make food here. Talk about the different personality types and how you see this conversation, how you are at home and how you are at work, and how that might happen with their decisions.
So I'll start with the first part, and I think it'll all hopefully mend together. For me, the biggest difference, especially because I mentioned now being empty nesters, I now at this point in my life, work Aaron and home Aaron are different because at work, I can take on more faster because I'm a believer of delegating. And I'm a believer in delegate to elevate. And when you have younger kids and I'm developing my children or having a part of their development, you can delegate things around the house, to the boys that they can learn how to do things around the house. So I think at one point it is pretty similar, but then once we're in a position now, it's just my wife and I. And so there's things that that I need to do as the husband and as the man of the home. Where at work, you don't really have that. It's, hey, here's our goal. Here's our wigs. Here's what we're going after. Here's our KPIs. Here's all of these things. Who do I have with the skill set to be able to take those on so you can delegate that? So I think it is different as you go through stages of your personal life, the same way you go through stages of leadership in business, because I wasn't as good at delegating when I was younger in my career. I had to develop that because I felt like I wanted the control and it was only going to be done right if I did. I'm just being transparent with everybody. But the thing is, man, the power and the skill set that people have, but it's really finding out what that is. So I think there's a little bit of a difference now to answer the question, I guess, a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
But the second part of that, though, the second piece, I have this conversation with our customers a lot. We're not the cheapest service provider or vendor that's out there, right? I mean, you can go get a chuck in a truck that's gonna charge you no dispatch fee. They're gonna charge you $50 an hour for labor, and they might take 3 weeks to get your walk-in cooler back up, or they might take 3 weeks to get that RTU on top of that facility going again. But they're gonna save a lot of money. Where for us, we have to pay for the fleet and for the parts that we keep in-house, so that instead of it taking 3 weeks, it takes us 48 hours to have that unit, that piece of equipment up and going. I mean, there's a cost to that. And so not every facility, not every restaurant, not everybody is our customer, and that's okay. You got to be okay with that, but we can't devalue what we do just to gain extra customers when they might be a fit for another vendor.
I love that. And where I wanted to go here, Garen and Tom, I think that it's so important to learn who that person is on a human being level, how they make decisions. And now they may be different, but it's essentially they're still making decisions. They're working with what they have at home. Now they're working with what they have at work. Garen, when you're out talking to folks about telecommunications, I know you work with tell us all the different types of folks that you're typically calling on and working with.
Yeah, that's great. Aaron, great point too. I want to go back to something a little later, but yeah, so you have, obviously you have some small businesses. What we see a lot of are problems, just something simple like a camera system. A lot of people take, the cheap, going back to what you're saying, cheap. You take a cheap camera system, put it in, and then when you actually need it, it may not be up to the standards, the quality, because the resolution's not there. You can't pick out who the person is, their license plate and stuff like that. So you have it on a small level like that, or we have a lot of military or government contracts that are, for Wi-Fi across the country. So you deal with all of the, spectrum of types of people. But I think kind of going back to what Aaron was saying, the three things: the quality, price, and service. You get to pick two. You can't have all three. So whether that's my own personal house that I'm selling, my two selections might be different than in our business, and focusing on Wi-Fi at a small campground or a large enterprise business, it's going to be totally different. But I think the sales side of things that's so important is just being able to get to what are those things that they value, not the perfect sales pitch, not being able to have just this perfect little 30-second pitch to them to talk about what I'm selling, but more of, okay, what do they value? It may be quality and service, and it may not be price, or it may be price and quality, and service they can take a few weeks. It's not something you need right now. So it's a balance of kind of finding what they value in each person, whether that's knocking door to door, or that's a huge, massive enterprise company or military contract or something like that. So it's the same in a sense that you're just trying to find what those values are, no matter what their size company or their situation is.
And to your point, seeing if there's a fit, and I'm coming to you, Aaron, right? We just want to see if there's a fit. Aaron Jacobitz.
I actually started for this whole quarter with my team. We reading, and we are doing training sessions on a book, and it's called the 100 Proven Ways to Acquire and Retain Customers. And the first part of that, it really hit home with me, because the fourth thing, Garen, that I would add is experience, is the experience that they get. Now, for me, right, when I look at people are, let's say, fans of Disney World. That's great. People save up all year, and they spend a big chunk of money to go to Disney World, because for that week or whatever they do, they're willing to take that money away from something else and put it towards that, because they're getting an experience. And when you look at what it is we do, people will pay more if you give them a good experience. And if you can have if I can have a relationship with Glenn and Alexa, where we can have conversations about how we are as human beings, and it has nothing to do with what I can do for their facility or what I can sell them or what I can do anything, right? But if I talk to Glenn about something that has nothing to do with business, and he feels like it's a good experience dealing with me, he doesn't really care as much what we charge for hour labor. I mean, he does. It's his responsibility to know that. But if we're $15 more per hour than a company that he's not having a good experience with, and he likes me as a person, and he has that relationship, I think there's a fourth thing there, Garen, that I've really learned with this session that we're doing, this kind of quarterly training that we're doing with my team. And I think it's really made a difference in mindset.
I'm going to jump in here and say something for my little personal story that I just heard. So I was talking to a gentleman, and he changed service providers. He went from one, he went to the other. I knew the person that he had bought that service from. And I said, oh, well, how did that go? And he's like, well, I really like the guy. It's not really saving me much money, but to be honest with you, I really switched because I kind of liked him. And I said, no, that's great. I said, but here's something that you may, to your point, Aaron, that you may be missing. I said, that gentleman that you hired, he can help you get more business. Oh, yeah? I said, yes. I said, he's an absolutely fantastic connector. He's connected. I happen to know he's connected to a lot of the people that you want to sell to. Right? So it's like that, and you said experience, but my point is there's value adds in the people connection, right? Tom has different things. We all have different things going on in our lives. So there's more to it than what we even provide with that service, because we can do more for those folks, right? We can help them get business. If we can help them get business, now we've really added value. Garen, I'm sure you see that in what you do. And Tom, if you want to speak here, please.
Oh no, I'm just listening away. My dad always said, if you were the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. I'm in the right room. Let me tell you, I'm in the right room. I'm learning, but at some point I'll talk about my simplistic view of all this. But Garen, if you want to go ahead and answer that question.
Yeah, so kind of going back to what Aaron's saying, there's price, quality, and service for the customer, and there's also price, quality, and service for the business. Because I've been in a business where we weren't the cheapest. Similar, Aaron, like our thing was our service was the best. That's what you were getting. So whether your customer valued that is what you could bring. So you're trying to find out what they value and if you even make a good fit. Because if you provide the best service, and that's what we aim to do, like. I mean, in our business, if we don't provide you a good service, like I'm not so focused on the sale, the profit. It's are we going to provide an amazing service that you're going to tell other people about? That to me is more worth it than the dollar, the profit, and whatever. Like that's almost totally secondary, because I want to provide a service to you that is so good that you can't help but tell other people and go, man, they helped me out with this. Our Wi-Fi was, kept going down, or these cameras are amazing. It's helped out. We've, we're able to catch this person because it grabbed a license plate or whatever it may be. That's more important to me. That's why we try to hang our hat on our service. And then we have the other options to be able to do that. You want the cheap route or you want the, expensive route and the quality in there. So it's definitely a balance for both the customer and for the business.
Keep us honest here, Glenn and Alexa. Is this Pollyanna type view? I mean, do you as decision makers do you care about the experience and all of this sort of thing, or are you just trying to get it done and get it done cheap?
We are like strictly relationship based decision making at Devereaux. I mean, we have a very core group of vendors we use, but it's really because they've taken the time to get to know our homes. Or if we have a life safety issue of a broken window on a Saturday, they're going to get out there like and just take care of it instead of a vendor being like, okay, we'll be there Monday. And then so when capital planning starts, we're like, we want to give them as many projects. Like we want to like make sure they're taken care of and that they've done a lot for us. So I think it works both ways, but I would say like relationship is like at least for me and our team.
Yes. Glenn, have you ever made a decision to work with someone after their 30-second sales pitch of what they do?
When I have, it hasn't gone well. Let's just leave it there. And I was thinking of one instance particular with an HVAC company, and some of the bells and whistles are going off that this might not go good. And in the long run, it didn't. So I proceed with caution anymore. The sales pitch is nice. You tell me all what you can do, what your capabilities are. It may be way more than we need, but it's when the rubber hits the road, like when that project starts, or you're even in bid process, or any of those things. That's when it really matters to me. And especially, once you're awarded a contract, what does that look like? For us and our size, there might be a year where I do $250,000 in HVAC or roofing or something, but I might not need that again for another 3 or 4 years. And I'm always asking myself the question, and the vendor too, is like, are you giving me the same service you would to everyone else? Or are you treating me less than? Are you trying to, bluff your way through it? Like, oh, I'm going to have a crew out there tomorrow and send me one guy. Those kind of things, that matters more than the sales pitch to me. The personal connection and all that's great, and I see that as more icing on the cake. To have someone you like doing business, you like them as a person. But what really matters to me is whatever that project is, to get it done on time, and with the least interruption and discomfort through the process as we can make it happen.
Hey, when we sell when Aaron sells service, he's not the one out there that's working on the equipment that has a lot of the proximity. So the salesperson, we used to talk about this with Stormy a lot. Alexa, you were probably there, but she often recommended, hey, show me the person with their hands on the equipment, right? I want to meet that person. That's who I'm going to have the relationship with. The salespeople are trained to tell Glenn and Alexa exactly what they want to hear. And then now I've got to deal with this guy that may or may not, because that's who you really have the relationship with, especially with HVAC, right, Aaron?
Yeah, absolutely. Because Glenn, you do not want me on the roof and on the equipment. But
And you're putting a lot of trust into that person. So,
Yeah.
I do think that it definitely would be important.
So
Yeah.
I guess my question, if I may, to Glenn, I hope you've recovered from the last one of these we did, because you were the only facility manager on there, and I feel like you got you got
Hey,
you got a
no,
lot.
I don't know. I feel just like Tom. I am not the smartest guy in the room here. So that one of the rest of you there is, you better find a new place. But no, yeah,
So my
it's interesting. For sure.
So my question is, how, as a business developer and a salesperson who also has a team of salespeople that I'm leading, what would your advice be? Maybe not you specifically, but what would your advice be, or Alexa as well, on how can we relay to you to have the same trust for the technician that you do for us? How can we relay the value of what we're saying isn't just a salesperson telling you something? Because I find that can be difficult when that other person that I'm building credibility with or trying to isn't part of that initial start of the relationship. How can we relay that? Like, what are the do's and the don'ts that you look for?
And specifically in HVAC, I think getting the particular technician that would kind of be the lead guy. He might not be the guy we see every time, but getting, I think I've referred to Brian, that is one of the techs we see all the time. Getting him involved early in the conversations, even when we start coming down to talk about the details of what we have and what they need to, what services they can provide. Getting that person involved so that person has a level of comfort. They start to know who we are, our process, for checking in, all those kind of things with a school that's maybe a little different than a restaurant downtown. But having those type of people involved early in the process of establishing that relationship, I think is really, really helpful for me. And it gives my crew a level of comfort with the people that they're coming out with and the connection ahead of time. So they know, hey, it's Tony coming out this week, but oh yeah, we remember Tony. He met with us when we started talking to whoever. So, for me, being a guy that came out of the field in a lot of ways, the connection with the actual technicians is good. It's a really good thing.
May I ask a follow-up?
Yes.
So
what was that? I'm sorry.
So I have a follow-up. One thing that I try to do, that we try to do, between my department, which is sales and marketing, and the service ops department, a lot of times techs do tech things, and sales and marketing, they do sales and marketing, and a lot of times that's very tough, for each person, right, to cross over. Am I too worried about a tech that's not necessarily as developed in the relationship building and talking with the client or the facility manager? Am I too worried about that, or should I just let those people and trust that facility manager knows that they're a tech and their skill set is incredible with what they do to fix the piece of equipment, but it might not be as relational?
Right. I think obviously working with that individual so that he has good relationships and, continuing to, develop his skills at is good, or her skills at it. But for me, I'm willing to look past a guy who really just wants to turn a wrench. Especially if he's willing to speak into the conversation, like, oh yeah, I did this at this place, or that's the same equipment they have over here, and that kind of thing. The friendliness, the connection type thing, to me, is not necessarily as important as the skills, when it comes to the technician.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I am.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's a great question. Alexa, do you have anything to comment on that?
So I think for us, it's like we really care about the kickoff of a project and then the end of a project. So kind of holding the sales accountable to that. Like when I was in sales, if I had a big project or a big inspection, I would always either go to them or I would have a walkthrough to finish it, to make sure like all punch list items were done. What they promised as far as like a standard of service was done. So I mean, I put trust kind of more into the salesperson that they're not going to send me a technician that can't do the job, because they also are going to have to do a walkthrough with me at the end. And I will just be like, this is shit work, like, you know.
Yeah, I think that's great. One
Yeah.
of what I love about doing this, Tom, did I hear somebody say something?
No, but if you want me to say something, I gladly will.
Tom sits back and listens, and I've always want to hear what Tom says. Tom, give us something.
Boy, the pressure's on now. Well, I'm gonna get into horses. I'm gonna tell you why, and why I listen. Glenn mentioned time three times when you ask him how he mentioned whether at home or at work. Alexa mentioned convenience at home, and then KPIs at work. Aaron, I love. He's the touchy feely. Like, I feel like he could be my emotional support. Fantastic. I mean, if I need a hug, I'm coming to you, Aaron, all day, because probably one of the most caring people. Is this right? Am I doing this right? So asking my questions. Garen, we just met, but I can tell how tactful you are and intelligent. And so I'm watching this, and you know what I do, Aaron? You said you with your staff, and this is a great statement. Many good sales was killed by a jawbone of an ass. And we don't listen. So working with horses, guess how big that stall is? It's 12 by 12. And you got to walk into this, and we rescue horses. We know nothing about them. We don't know if they're had any traumas in their past or whatever. So when you walk into that stall, how are you carrying? Walk into Glenn's office or Alexis' office. Think of how you walk in. Are you coming in like, I'm going to make this sale. I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to give you a pitch. Or are you starting from how you breathe to how you hold yourself? I'm 6'5", probably 320, 325, played college football. I am an intimidating dude walking into someone's office. And I've had to face that my entire life. I've had to think about using humor. I've had to shrink my size so I don't take up the entire door when I walk in. All these things to make people feel comfortable, because I have a handicap in that first initial meeting with sales. Always have. So making that person feel comfortable, and that horse is the same thing. That 12 by 12 area is the same size of an office. They don't know if you're a predator, if you are, attacking them for sales, if you're genuine. And back to Alexa on her trust. So you got to listen. You got to listen. And I do think that there's a value in the relationship, but that only gets you so far. So Alexa says, hey, important to her is an opening and then a closing on the project and her KPIs. Okay. And then if you can sprinkle in a little bit of relationship and offer a little bit of convenience, man, you just hit every. So, and Glenn's a little different. Glenn has been more on the relationship side, but also, he talked about a roofing situation where it was leaking last time and the owner came out. It's like, this company has my back. Now he's going to weigh that, but still at the end of the day, that building's got to be dry. And Alexis' information and all her KPIs to justify, especially with a 501c3, I get it. That's you spending that type of money is very it's a huge responsibility, right? Because it could go into other programs and other things like that to help the kids and all that. So my biggest thing that I think is always walk into that stall and start the relationship and identify, look at the horse, watch its body positioning, breathing. Horses can feel in a herd a heart rate almost 5 to 7 feet away. That's how they can transfer information to the herd that there's a predator. I bet we've just, with all this technology and all this stuff and all these techniques and all that, we forgot how we primally connect to people. Connect and then deliver. Find out exactly. I was in oil and gas for 5 years, and I was a superintendent. I was a big buyer. My budget was $1.2 billion. We had an operational budget of $4 billion. My check, my ability to cut a check was $250,000 before I needed approval. And I bought because they listened. They delivered me what I needed. And didn't try to force something on me, and help me to get home to my horses and my kids. That's why I bought.
That's some good stuff right there, Tom.
Yeah. Hey, Tom, that's the smartest stuff in the room right there, brother. I appreciate that.
That's just
Yeah,
a
I was
horse
about to
farmer.
say the same
That's just
thing,
a
Glenn.
horse farmer.
I don't want you to leave, so please stay.
We're talking mic drop.
Yes.
I know. Hey,
As my grandmother used to say, "Nuff said." Right? I mean, that was powerful. Thank you.
Yeah,
So
Hey, would anyone like
my
to add
my hiring process is they come to the farm and I watch them how they interact with a horse they don't know going into a stall. I watch how they carry themselves, and one of the most important thing is I watch if they turn around and look at me and ask questions, or are they just so hell bent to go touch that horse, and then I watch them get kicked and I laugh. No, I'm just kidding. I would never put in that kind of situation. But I watch. Are they genuinely concerned about making a relationship with that horse on the horse's terms?
I think that's fantastic. And what he did, he doesn't just say this, what he was doing when he came onto this podcast, he was actually listening to everybody. He was in the stall with each of the human beings that we have here, and he retained that, and he thought about it, and he felt their energy with his heart in a certain kind of way to know who they are on a deeper level. Darren, if we and Aaron, if we start selling like that, then we're really connecting with people, aren't we? We're really thinking, we're getting it completely out of the role and getting into the real human being connectivity, aren't we, Darren?
I agree, and I think there's the words that come to mind are authenticity, genuine, listen, like empathy. So much of that is what's going to rise. Like in the days of AI and technology and all this stuff being automated, honestly, it's so much that it's easy to rise, I think, in some sense, like how to win deals, how to create relationships. It's really not that hard. I mean, it is in the relational sense, but it's standing out to being a person, a human being, maybe having that call, a cold call, or, just a visit. And we're not even talking business at all, but it's just understanding something that they went through, or something, with the horses, something's going on at the ranch or whatever. Like it's so much of what we're talking about is soft skills, has nothing to do with somebody who knows what they're doing, but really just using those, whether that's a technician or somebody in sales, like having those soft skills and being an authentic person who listens and empathizes is just going to stand out in today's world.
We want the truth. And when we connect on a human being level, I can ask Alexa, I can ask Glenn. It doesn't matter what my product or service is. Glenn's got cameras all over that church. Darren sells cameras. He may or may not love his cameras, but we want, if Garen can help him with his cameras, we want Garen to help him with his cameras. Alexa's got cameras. If Garen can help you with your cameras, we won't get right. I mean, but it may not be the right time. Not every relationship works. That doesn't mean that we don't meet them where they are and connect with them on a human being level, right? I mean, so Tom, you were shaking your head. We'd love to hear what you say.
Oh, yes, and I think that authenticity and developing and listening actually is qualifying if the customer is a good fit. We have a lot of situations where we want the sale, right? The sale. Well, we have a certain process. We operate a certain way. We have a certain vibe, okay, in our process. And I tell the sales force, don't sell something. Find good relationships that you think will work. Don't get on a horse that's just going to buck you off every day. It's not a good fit. We all don't align, and that's okay. So finding that synergies and finding that connectivity, that's two ways. That's a great customer. One that you just, it's okay to walk away. You try to see that horse, you try to, tell them what you bring to the table, and they're like, no, no, thanks. That's okay. But if you don't listen to what they need, you can't decide if both organizations are aligned. That is the optimum customer, is when they align with your process, what you do as a company, what you do as a day-to-day thing, and their needs. And sometimes it might be a no for now. We go in and we see situations, and I won't even talk business. I'll just talk horses. And they see this big, beautiful draft horse, and they just, oh my gosh, they just love this thing. We're like, well, that's great. Now, how many acres do you have? And like, oh, we have one. And I'm like, okay, what kind of truck or trailer do you have to haul, this big, majestic animal around? And they're like, oh, well, it's a Honda Ridgeline, and a small truck and a little trailer. And I'm like, boy, I'd love to find that big, beautiful Percheron, this draft horse, a home. But you know what? Why don't we look at a pony? But if you don't ask those questions and learn, you don't find when it's a good fit. And people are like, oh my gosh, you're gonna tell a customer no? No, I'm going to protect the customer and lower their expectations or raise their expectations and fully discuss it so that we mesh well. That's a whole different type of sale, because then you're not disappointed at the end if it's a mismatch. Everybody wants to get around that table together and get projects done when all those soft things match.
Alexa Kittens.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think when I was in sales, it was kind of, if this is what is our values versus what are they valuing, and is there too much of a conflict, or too much of a, they really want X, Y, and Z, and we know we can't deliver one of those pieces. Like, why would we accept the job? Because we know it's going to be a headache. They're going to complain. They're going to could fight payment. So I think it's kind of protecting yourself, but also protecting the customer.
Darren, I saw you shaking your head. Darren?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just, I mean, all those things. I feel like, is it Friday or is it Sunday? I feel like we're in church right now. Literally say amen to half of this stuff. It's just awesome. It's just so refreshing to hear a lot of those things, because at the end of the day, it's it's more about service than it is sales. Like, if it's not a good experience, if it's not like everybody has said, we want a good fit. Like, you shouldn't be out there making, hearing people talk about making thousands and thousands of phone calls in a day. It's just like, oh man, I hope you're focused more on your, leads that are going to be a good fit for you than just, trying to call everybody, because it's just not how it is. So I love it.
Relationship. Absolutely. I love this conversation. All relationships, romantic, social, or business, they have the same types of things apply. The same rules apply. The rules don't change. Desperation in any of those, that's no good. If somebody wants a romantic partner and anybody will do, well, then nobody will do. Nobody wants that. And so the same is true with business. When I call it the stiff arm. If you can stiff arm business that's not good, you're probably never going to not need business, right? Once you're able to turn away what could be, that way we're not taking everything, and they can feel that. Aaron, do you want everything, or is there such thing as a customer that maybe you don't want that business?
If you will forgive me, Daniel, I will be listening for the remainder of the podcast only. Yes, you have to be able to walk away. Not every customer, not every facility, not everything that we do is the right fit. And it's not that we don't want the revenue or the money. Just to go off of what Tom said, we owe it to the customer to make sure that both parties are a fit. Because if they're not a fit for us, just as much as we're not a fit for them, the only party that's involved in that transaction that's going to look bad, and that's going to have a bad experience, that's going to possibly affect things down the road, is us as the vendor. To me, us as the service and the vendor, right? If the customer picks the wrong vendor, they just pick the wrong vendor, they'll just call the next person. But if we pick the wrong customer and it doesn't go well because we had no business trying to fit a square peg in a round hole with that customer, we owe it to them to say so, because if it goes wrong, then I feel we're the only party that comes out not as positive. So yes, I 100%.
I want to kind of move. This has been a great conversation. We've got 10 minutes left. Alexa, you've used some AI in your job and in some other very creative ways. One of the things that we've done on this program that was a lot of fun and that Alexa was part of, I just created scenarios. So I just created a mock facility with a mock facility manager that had a scenario within his facility. And then we kind of chopped it up, and every facility manager had an opinion on how they would address that issue. There was no right or wrong answer. It was more just kind of their opinion, but it created some really interesting full conversations on different problems and situations that may arise. Alexa, explain some of the things you've been thinking about and what your take was on that, and maybe where we could go with something like this.
Yeah, so I use AI a lot personally and like professionally, and I really am about like soaking up as much information, learning as like I go about it. I have never taken like a certificate. I am not a IT background, but it has been something that has like really helped, especially at Devereaux. It's kind of historical data is paper, historical data is in a million places. So creating one single source of truth for our organization is what my goal is every day. I think it makes the organization better. It makes our decision making better, and I think it also helps improve the client's lifestyle. I mean, we can see like reoccurring issues if there's holes in walls, if there's broken furniture, so we can come up with some preventative measures to kind of prevent that. And then, so, like I said, when we did the scenario and role playing and you were like, I wish this was like a little bit more interactive, or like we didn't know what the scenarios were. So like I was able to like go through my like chat GPT and create a scenario making facility character that would throw out the ideas, would change their voices if it was like a really like, so it really was like nice to kind of be able to do that. And then it like was like, oh, and then I made a Jeopardy for facilities. And then there was a like a Mythbusters one. So like just those like interactive stuff to kind of see, that takes the lightness of facilities. It's not just, always doing something.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate that. What's beautiful now, if we can't find the facility, there's a lot of interesting facilities out there. Tom's talked to a lot of facilities over his career, doing different things, and the people that manage those all have different things on their plate. And with AI, we can mock those. Because stories are awesome. When Glenn told the story of doing the roof and it's a big deal. I mean, I love that, right? These are real life things. And so if we don't have real life things, the next best thing is something that can create that story for us. So where we really start kind of doing the applied mathematics, right?
You can like take it further than just the first part of the scenario. Like, so if you answer, or if you kind of give how you would handle the situation, they could add on to it and be like, well, then this happened. So it just kind of really like getting an understanding of just being prepared for different scenarios, I guess.
Yeah, I do like getting it to the point when we have, and we're going to get to this as we keep going, where we just start talking about, again, you guys have roofs, you have HVAC, you have telecom, you have landscaping, you have all of these different services. You're getting those from somewhere. And there's things that you like about those services, and maybe there's things that you don't like. And so I think the more that we can have those conversations with folks, that are in different facilities and get the truth of how they really evaluate those things. It helps us to understand and kind of simplify and maybe even slow down the play for us so we can see things a little better. I love what Tom said. Speaking of slowing down, one of the things he said, he's like, he would notice if that person looked back at him or if they were into the horse, right? That's a big deal. That sort of thing shows up in a lot of different ways where our attention is and why and who we are paying attention to. So I think we had a lot of good nuggets in here today, y'all.
I think Tom wins.
Shucks.
If Tom
Garen,
thought he wanted a hug, if Tom thought he wanted a hug from me,
Well, I will tell you,
that is crack.
Liam.
the biggest compliment came from Garen. It says it feels like a Sunday. I was a deacon for years and did a lot of pastoral training and connecting to people. So thank you for saying it felt like a Sunday versus a Friday.
Yeah, and that's a great thing because there's an energy, there's a connectivity at church, and that's really what we want to do here. We want to get a lot of smart people, Tom, into a room that are doing a lot of different things, have conversations, have real conversations, and I think that's going to all help us all improve as we move forward. Aaron Jacobitz, what have you got on your mind this Friday? You got big plans?
Yeah, I'm
on the spot, buddy.
Yeah, I tell you, there have been times in my life and in my sales career where a lot of times the leader needs to be led, and a lot of times we spend so much effort, at least I do, running the outside sales, the inside sales, the marketing, right? That whole department. Sometimes it's nice just to get information that helps me. And I want to say to Tom, today has been one of those one of those times in my career that happen every couple times a year, maybe twice every 2 or 3 years, where I look back and I say, I got developed because out of nowhere somebody said something and spoke something into me that makes a difference. And that 5-minute session here or there that you had, I cannot thank you enough. I didn't know that I needed to hear that, but I needed to hear that in myself, my company that I represent and work for, and my team that I lead. Owe you a debt of gratitude to that, because that was absolutely phenomenal. And I thank you.
Oh man, you're gonna get me all choked up. Horses and God will teach you a lot, my friend.
Yeah, I love that. Garen, what did you think of your first visit here to FM Focus?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, just like Aaron, I mean, I'm sitting here just thinking about all the things that I need to do. Like Tom, you had talked about the skill of being 6'5" and having to slow things down, and I felt like you did that. We're all talking about these certain things, and then you just brought it down. You slowed it way down, and you just that just stuck out to me as well. Same thing with Aaron. Like, man, that was so beneficial to just slow down and remind myself to just it's relational. Slow it down. Read the room and just listen. I think that was awesome. That was my biggest takeaway from this. So thank you again for sharing. Yeah, that.
Absolutely. Glenn, thank you for joining us. We hope things are well in Michigan.
Yeah, it's a good move today. So we're excited, and my aunt's making great progress, and she's feeling the love that our whole family has for her. So it's been good. So.
Awesome.
But glad to join remotely.
Yeah, we're glad you made it. I wasn't sure if you were going to make it. And Alexa, thank you for all your help there and the brainstorming session. And I'm sure that we're going to come up with some great things. And you getting married too. Don't forget about that.
Congratulations.
Yeah. All right. Tom, thank you. I'm going to clip that little segment that Tom did, and we're going to post it. We're going to break the internet with that. So it's going to be
Yeah.
That was amazing.
I'll ride the
That
back
was
of Tom.
amazing.
Definitely send a link on that one. I'm going to post that one someplace myself. So
Great stuff, y'all. We're going to be back. I'm not sure what day we're going to do it. I think very likely on Friday. So I remember, if y'all remember, Sarah the Bomb Bomarito. She's over 8 million square feet now of space, and she's very excited to come back. So we're going to likely do that on Fridays, and it's going to be a lot of fun, y'all. So we're going to keep it rolling. And hey, have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye. Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you so much.
Goodbye.
Bye, guys.
See y'all.